And as he heads to the U.S.-Mexico border, President Trump is speaking publicly after days of silence. White House correspondent Kira Phillips joins me now for more on that. Kira, what did the president have to say, and why take this trip now?
Right. Well, first of all, let's get to what he said. We've decided not to even air it because what he said was just simply, I think, delusional is the best way to put it. And that's, of course, what critics are saying now as soon as they heard his words, because he actually said to reporters, we don't even know who they are, looked at my speech, looked at my words, and I have no regrets, and I said nothing that was inappropriate. I think we just need to move on, because that is just simply not true when you look at what happened last week, and it's just completely disrespectful to those who died and the violence that took place up on Capitol Hill. So let's move on to why he's making this trip. Look, I mean, he's trying to save his legacy, right? He's heading to Alamo, Texas, not to be confused with the Alamo, by the way, and, you know, he's speaking to his base. I mean, the core issue during his campaigning and when he did step into office was that he was going to build a, quote, big, beautiful wall, and he was going to keep the Mexicans out. And you remember all the controversy surrounding the comments that he made about immigrants. But he's speaking to his base. He's trying to galvanize his supporters. He's trying to go somewhere where he thinks, okay, they'll pay attention to me. This is a big part of my legacy. This was one of my big promises to the country. But I have to tell you, Diane, I think it's being completely overshadowed by what's happening on the Hill and how Democrats are going forward with yet another impeachment.
And at least 3 House Democrats have now tested positive for COVID-19 since the siege last week, saying some of the lawmakers they were in lockdown with refused to wear masks. Now at least one congresswoman is calling for fines. What's the latest?
That's right. So this just came through about 5 minutes ago, Diane. Democrat from Illinois, Brad Snyder, is the 3rd member to test positive now for COVID. The first representative that came forward was Bonnie Watson Coleman, the Democrat from New Jersey. And then it was Representative Pramila Jayapal, who just came forward and made a lot of noise about the fact that more people are testing positive since that lockdown. And here's what sort of created the conversation. When the doctor up on the Hill announced that there was somebody that tested positive, and there was concern about everybody being jammed in really tight during the siege there on Capitol Hill, and there were people not wearing masks. Matter of fact, there was a video that surfaced, Diane, you might remember, where a Democrat was seen handing out masks, and Republican members were not accepting the masks. I mean, we still don't know who exactly was infected at the time and how exactly this spread, but clearly there is concern about the fact that everybody was hunkered down, and it was a double whammy. There was a violent mob infiltrating the Capitol. Meanwhile, there was somebody that was positive with COVID and possibly passing it along to other members as they were all jammed in face to face. So yes, Jayapal is calling for fines, but we're yet to see what exactly will happen.
And President Trump met with Vice President Pence last night for the first time since Pence announced Biden's electoral victory. What do we know about that meeting?
Can I tell you something, Diane? I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall during that meeting. I would have loved
many others.
Yes, exactly. And isn't that interesting that that meeting was closed off to reporters? And really, all we have is what the White House is saying happened within that meeting. And it was very vanilla. That they talked about the last 4 years. They talked about the week left. That those that were a part of that violent mob on the Hill were not people that represented Trump's America First movement. But look, we know Donald Trump by now pretty well, right? I can't imagine that the conversation about invoking the 25th Amendment didn't come up in that meeting. And then the conversation just prior, a week before, when the president was very vocal and putting pressure on Vice President Pence to, quote, do what's right about the Electoral College count. So what truly happened in that meeting, it will be hard to find that out. But what the White House is saying is that it was a civil conversation, and they were reflecting on what they've done in the past 4 years and how they're going to go forward this next week.
And we're also learning more about the backlash from private companies over President Trump's role in last week's event. What's the latest there?
Well, I mentioned that yesterday. You and I talked a little bit about it, and I'm not surprised. Things started to sort of percolate yesterday when the PGA came forward and said, we're pulling the championship tournament from Trump's golf club in Bedminster. That was a huge move and change and announcement, because that hits President Trump right in the pocketbook and right to the heart. You know, he loves golf. He loves his golf clubs. And this is a big money maker for him. So from the time you and I talked about that to today, Deutsche Bank yanking its relationship, Signature Bank yanking its relationship, donations freezing. You know, Trump has a lot of properties. He has a lot of real estate. His brand is already starting to get hit hard, and that's going to continue. So when you're talking about President Donald Trump and his brand and his bank account, and that now that's taking a big hit, well, it's not going to stop, I can tell you that. And I'm sure we'll hear from him regarding how this is going to have such a tremendous economic impact on him. Just put aside the political impact. What's going to happen to his wallet, his future, his investments? Unknown at this point, but it's not looking good.
All right, Kira Phillips for us in Washington. Thank you.
You bet.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.